Hey and welcome. I'm Lorelai of Namasturm Yoga. Today's practice is going to be a yin and stretch. So join me on your mat. Today's practice, we're going to start with some yin deep stretches, and then we're going to transition to more classic yoga stretches. So the difference being, in the yin stretches, we don't engage any muscles. So any of the oppositional muscles, we're not flexing, we're not doing anything like that. We're really just trying to relax and release and get a deep stretch that can affect not just our muscles, but some of our connective tissue like ligaments, tendons, and even joints. When we get into the other stretching section, we're going to engage our muscles a little bit more, and the stretch positions will be just different. So you might recognize those as more classic yoga stretches that we're going to go into. So today we're definitely going to stretch, but we're going to just focus on two different styles of stretching as we go. So the first pose we're going to do today is caterpillar pose, which is really just a seated forward fold. So go ahead and take your legs out on the mat, but we want to relax them. So in a classic yoga stretch, we might flex the feet, engage the muscles of the quadriceps, but here we're just going to relax, and then we're going to allow the upper body to sink down gradually at its own pace. Your hands can come to the floor, and if your hands easily reach the feet, it's okay to hold on to your feet, but what we don't want to do is grab the feet and pull, because we're actually not trying to work deeper into the stretch, we're just allowing. These poses, the yin poses, have longer holds, so it's going to give our body a chance to release, and we are not going to try to speed up that process. During these poses, let yourself focus on the breath. They last about 3 minutes each, so just breathe and let go. All right, so gently move up out of your stretch, and we're going to move to Sphinx pose. So you can go ahead and just roll over onto your stomach. Find a way to transition as easily as you can with the elbows under the shoulders. Just gently prop yourself up. We want to try to relax the legs behind us. Relax the heart forward and down. But in this pose, we actually can engage just a little bit with the arms. So maybe a slight pushing down of the arms. Relax the neck here as well. You can stay with Sphinx, or if you want to go just a little bit deeper, you can move this to seal pose by spreading the fingers and rooting into the hands and then just straightening up the elbows. So you come up a little higher, but you're still trying to really just let the heart melt down. I like to try to think of my upper body as like a string of beads or a string of Christmas lights or something like that, that it's just sagging basically from my neck to my navel. If you want to go deeper in seal, you can walk your hands a little closer. So the arms are slightly working here, but we don't want to overdo it. And then we really want to try to let go the legs and the upper body. Relax your neck. If in these poses you start to feel like it's too intense, find a way to ease up or back out. So you could walk your hands a little further away if you need to. On the other hand, if you want to deepen, you can walk them closer in. You are in control, but as much as possible, try to let go. All right, move to your knees, and we're gonna move the right foot forward for dragon pose. Use your right hand to help you move the foot up so your knee is above your ankle, but that foot can be a little wide. We're gonna bring the hands inside of the leg. And you can just stay with the palms planted, or some of you might find that you can start to work yourself down to your forearms. The knee is going to be generally over the ankle. It might rock out slightly, but we don't want to completely roll off of the foot. So try to keep this pretty upright, but then let the upper body move down. Head can hang. Again, this is a longish hold, so breathe and try to let go. If it gets too intense, take more weight with your arms. Coming up gently, move the right knee back, and we're just going to change sides. So step your left foot forward. Use your left hand to help you move it all the way to the front of the mat. So your knee is over your ankle, a little out to the side, and then letting the upper body sink down. Yin is a practice of stillness, so avoid fidgeting as much as possible. If you need to deepen your pose or come up out of your pose, you can do that, but try to keep it pretty simple so it's not a lot of adjusting back and forth. Just try to be where you're at. Give in, let go. And supporting yourself to come up. And now we're going to move to swan pose on the right. So the right leg is going to come forward, but now instead of having the foot on the floor, we're going to walk the foot to the side and lay the right knee on the floor near the right side of the mat. This is very similar to pigeon stretch in just a classic yoga practice. So again, you can use your left toes to walk your leg back. We want to avoid rocking to the right hip. You may choose to bring your shin further forward, in which case you may need to rock to your right hip for a moment. Move the shin further forward, but then use your hands to bring yourself up off of that hip. And then hands to support you. Allow yourself to fold down. And actually, as we fold, it's called sleeping swan. If you wanted to stay upright, that's full swan. So find where you'd like to be here today, and then just try to give into it. Breathe. Bringing yourself up, changing sides. Move your right knee back and the left knee forward. Behind your left wrist, shin crosses the mat. Use your right toes to walk your leg back so you're on the top of your right thigh. If you want to, for a moment, roll to your left hip, bring the shin up. Maybe it becomes more parallel with the front edge of your mat, but then come up off that hip. So you're again on your right thigh. If you wanted to be upright, you would walk the fingers back and just prop yourself up with your arms, but then allow yourself to fold for more of a stretch in that hip joint. Support yourself on forearms as long as you need to, but when you're ready, you can also walk the arms out, maybe letting your head drop down. Give in, back out if it gets too intense. Come on up. And now we're going to come to a seat and we're going to set up for butterfly pose. So our feet are going to come in, the knees are going to go wide, and you can bring your heels in. Instead of pushing down with your elbows against your knees, we're just going to let the knees go to gravity on their own, and we're going to relax the upper body down. Let your head hang. And again, just find stillness, breathe, and let go. and come on up. We have one last yin pose we're going to do on both sides. We're going to take square pose, which is also sometimes in regular yoga called double pigeon. So we're going to lay one leg. I'm taking my right leg, even with the edge of the mat that's in front of you. And then we're going to stack the other shin on top. So the idea is to stack your foot over your knee, but then have the knee above the foot. So the heels don't tuck in towards the body like they would in a cross-legged position. The shins are parallel, and then we just lean in, and this stretch should be in both hip joints here. Let yourself fold, breathe. Control this by supporting yourself with your arms or by walking the arms out when you're ready to go deeper. Relax your neck. Breathe. Come up gently, especially if this one was a little intense for you. Don't rush releasing. Lean back, and let's switch which leg is on bottom. So for me now, I'm moving my left shin on the bottom and my right shin over the top. Shins aligned with each other. Lean forward. And listen, if being upright is already giving you an intense enough stretch here, don't feel compelled to move forward against your inclination, right? So don't hurt yourself. You don't want to be causing yourself pain. But when you feel ready to go a little deeper, just let gravity help you. Use your arms to resist as needed. Make sure you're still breathing fully and deeply. And come on up. Now from here, let's go ahead and take this right foot and step it down to the floor. Tuck your left heel in, and we're just gonna do a seated twist. So we are gonna use our arms here, left arm around the right knee or past the right knee. For this is Ardha Matsyendrasana. We're gonna turn over the right shoulder, just a nice twist here. These next few holds aren't going to be as long, right? So you might notice the difference, but take maybe 5 to 10 breaths. All right, now coming out of your twist, we're going to take our left hand down and take some weight onto this hand. Press the right foot down as you extend the left leg under you. See if you can push down with the foot, lift the hip, and then take that right arm up and over for a good side stretch. If you want to adjust that right foot so that it's right under the knee, I encourage that. And then lift the hip, stretch all along the side of your body. All right, and then turn to the floor, plant your right hand, and then just rotate so you can bring your knees. We're gonna take tabletop and a few cat-cow stretches. So let's follow the breath here. Inhale, head and tail lift, chest and belly drop. Exhale, arch the spine, tail tucks, and head drops as well. Back and forth here. Moving the spine with the breath. Noticing the shoulder blades here as well, digging them in and together on your inhales, and then letting them separate on your exhales. All right, and let's go ahead then and drop back to child's pose for a few breaths. So take your knees a little wide, bring those feet together, let your hips move to your heels, and then lengthen the arms out, forehead to the floor, relax here. All right, coming up. Now we're gonna rock to our right hip. So you can adjust on your mat, come back to center, rock to your right hip, step the left leg over, and we're gonna do our seated twist on the other side. So this time using your right arm around the left knee or past it to twist to the left. And we'll hold here for a number of breaths. Okay, and then we're going to transition to the side stretch on the other side. So go ahead and just bring your right hand out to take some weight. We're going to lean and extend the right leg under. Press down into the left foot. Try to get the knee over the ankle. Lift the hips. And then that top arm is going to go up and over. Stretch it out here. All right, and then once again, turning to the floor, left hand down, bring your knees to the floor, hands and knees. This time, instead of cat-cow up, down, let's just do a little side-side. So bringing your your left ear towards your left hip, and then going back the other way, right ear towards right hip. The feet might move a little behind you, just going back and forth. You can follow the breath, maybe inhaling center, exhaling one direction, and then inhaling center, exhaling the other direction. Or if you want to go a little faster, you can just let yourself go back and forth. My feet tend to wag behind me kind of like a tail, counterbalancing, and if you find that, you can just go with it. But if your feet stay down on the floor, it's okay too. All right, let's go ahead and come all the way up to the knees with the feet extended behind us. Come up, inhale, reach the arms out and up. And then on an exhale, almost like you're swan diving forward, drop your chest, but let your hips come back to your heels, hands down by the feet. Inhale, rise back up. Let's follow the breath here a few more times. Exhale, sinking down. Inhale, up. And follow the pace of your own breath here, right? So don't worry if you're moving a little faster or slower than me. You might be breathing a little faster or slower than me, and that's okay. Keep your own rhythm. Let's come on up one more time. Inhale, bring the arms up. And then we're going to take the hands behind the back and we're going to interlace the fingers behind us. So pull your shoulder blades together. If the hands don't come together, you could put something between them, a strap or a towel or a t-shirt if you've got that. Shoulders back. Let's drop the hips to the heels. Keep the heart lifted and then just take the arms up off the back a little bit. We're going to go to rabbit pose. If that doesn't seem right for you, you could just stay here, lifting the hands up off your waist. But if you're going to rabbit, you're going to keep your hips on your heels for a moment, fold down, keep reaching your head forward, and then as soon as you can, place your forehead down. Now to come to the full pose, roll from your forehead to the top of the head, and the hips should move up over your knees. The arms are still reaching up and over. Now to come out of this pose, we just roll back out. So roll from the top of the head now to the forehead, and the hips should come back to the heels. And then float on up. Take the hands to the floor to help you. Get the feet underneath you for a standing forward fold. So have your feet about hip distance apart. Soften your knees. Just let the upper body hang here. You might choose to grab the elbows. You could sway a little bit. You could nod or shake the head. But just try to let go from the tailbone all the way down to the head. Okay, so for this next thing, make sure you've got some space behind you. I'm just gonna turn around on my mat. So I was kind of at the back of my mat. Now the back of my mat is the front of my mat. And just bringing your fingers to the floor a little bit ahead of you. We're just gonna take the right leg up, inhale it up, and then exhale, step it back to the floor, right where it just was. And then the other side, so inhale the left leg up, and we're gonna go back and forth, exhale it down. Once again, follow the pace of your own breath. Support yourself with your hands. You can lift that leg really high if you want to, or you can keep it pretty low, whatever makes most sense to you. We're transferring our balance with each one. This is like little standing splits. One more time. And now the next time you get to your, let's take the right leg up here and we're gonna put it back down. And now as you get to your left leg, take it up. And this time we're gonna step it back to the back of the mat for a high lunge. Our right knee is gonna stay over the ankle. Keep your fingers on the floor here, reach your head forward and your heel back. So that back leg is really nice and strong. High lunge, vertical shin. This is kind of a runner's lunge as well, so it's just a good stretch for the back leg. Now from here, let's plant the left palm right inside the right foot and take a twist. Right arm up, stack your shoulders, look up if you can, and you might even let that shoulder, that top shoulder start to roll back and the arm lean behind you for a good stretch across your chest. Don't let the right knee drop to the side though. It should remain above your ankle. And now take your hands to the floor and take your left knee down. Step your right knee back as well, and we're gonna lower to the ground. So bend your elbows to lower your heart between your hands. Bend the knees. Let's take a bow pose here. So we're gonna go into a back bend. If this is too much for you, you could take Sphinx or something like Cobra pose. But if you're okay with this, shoulders lift onto your back and then pull the heels away from the hips. This is an easier pose if you keep the thighs on the floor. So keep that in mind, but if you want to make it more challenging, lift the thighs, reach the feet towards the ceiling. Let yourself come down, forehead or an ear to the floor for a moment here on your belly. And then hands next to the chest. Let's press back, child's pose. So keep your knees on the floor, just drop your hips all the way back to your heels, forehead down. If you'd like, you can flip your palms up, bend your elbows, and take your hands to your shoulders. Okay, help yourself out with your hands. We're gonna come to our feet again, about hip distance apart, hang. And once again, I'm just gonna turn around on my mat so that, voila, I'm at the front of my mat suddenly. Folding down. All right. Now, this time we're gonna step our right foot back. So instead of doing the leg lifts, we can just go right into it. So so we're gonna step the right leg all the way to the back of the mat and take our high lunge. The left knee is now forward over the ankle. Reach through that back heel, reach through the head to stretch. Now planting the right palm. Take the left arm up for that good old twist. Lean the top arm back if you can. And look to the floor, hands down. Once again, lower the right knee, step your left knee back, and we're gonna lower down again and take another bow pose, another back bend. Take it at the level that makes most sense to you. If you're reaching for the feet, go ahead and grab them, or you can even grab the ankles and then kind of flex the feet. Lift the shoulders, press your pelvis down, and then float the legs into the air. Two more breaths if you can. Let yourself down, forehead or an ear to the floor. And then one more time, pressing back to child's pose. Hips to the heels. All right, coming up. Once again, getting the feet underneath you. I'm just gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna turn around on my mat, so I'm at the front of my mat again. And then I'm gonna step my left foot back again. So the right leg is forward. We're starting right leg forward. We're gonna lower the left knee and take a low lunge here. So the knee is over the ankle, but the back knee's down. We're gonna bring our upper body up. Take the arms up. If you want to, you can take your hands behind your head. And I actually really like the way this feels because you can lean your head back and then widen your elbows to get a good stretch across the chest. Breathe. All right, now fingers to the floor. We're gonna go to Ardha Hanumanasana and possibly full Hanumanasana, depending on your level of flexibility and comfort with the deeper pose. Move your hips back over the knee. We don't want the hips to be all the way back over the heel. We want them over the knee so the back thigh is parallel. Come up onto your right heel, pull the toes back towards you. So we are really engaging this leg now. The quad is active, the leg is pulling into the hip socket, the toes are flexing back, and we're just gonna let the upper body release down to give us a stretch in our hamstring. We don't want pain, nothing extreme. It might feel intense, but you kind of gotta listen to your body as to whether you're going deep, too deep, or just the right amount. Now, for those of you who are more flexible, or if you're feeling open and warm today, Be careful and conscientious, but you can start to slide that heel forward, potentially coming to full Hanumanasana or split, allowing the hips to sink down, continuing to draw the right leg back and the left leg forward. So we're still trying to kind of square up the hips here, even as we move the legs opposite of what we're trying to do with the hips. Keep your torso as upright as you can and breathe. Now don't rush this pose. You may find that you started and have still stayed in Ardha Hanumanasana, but you want to slide the heel a little bit further forward now. So move forward as you're ready, but don't push or force. Don't feel like you have to be at the end right away. We've got about 5 more breaths here. Okay, now if you slide your heel forward, go ahead and bring it back. And then we're just gonna come back to hands and knees and walk to the top of the mat so we can do the other leg. If you want to here for a moment, kind of bop out your knees or shake them out, anything that would feel good. So we started with the right foot forward. Now we're gonna take the right foot back. Take it behind you, and we're gonna do the low lunge first. So left knee stays over the ankle, and we're just gonna sink the hips forward toward that left heel. Reach the arms up, and if you can and want to, take the hands behind the head. On the other end of things, if this is really intense, you might still have your fingers on the floor or maybe just on your thigh, kind of pressing into the thigh to help stabilize you. So you can always modify and make it easier. Okay, carefully coming up with the chest and arms, fingers to the floor. Move your hips back right above your right knee. Flex your left foot moving to your heel, and then just folding down, Ardha Hanumanasana or half split. Breathe. Reminder, foot actively flexed, quad actively engaged, leg pulling back, so you're attempting to square the hips, which means even though the left leg is moving forward, we're trying to think of moving the left hip back, if that makes sense. And then if you want to start to move to full Hanumanasana, full splits, slide your heel forward. Be in control here, right? Don't push or force. Just try to soften and let go. Let's see if we can take about 5 more breaths here. And then if you slid your heel out, see if you can slide it back in. And then knees to the floor. Oh, let's go ahead and come to a seat. We're gonna take the legs out. And let's keep the right leg out, but bend the left knee. We're gonna do just a little bit of Marichyasana here, and this is gonna be our final pose. So we want the foot about a step away from our leg, and this is going to give us a way to drop the shoulder inside of the knee. We can either gently reach for the foot. Now the leg is engaged, so a little different than the yin portion of our practice. We can flex the foot, we can engage the quad. Either finding your hands on the floor or to the foot, or you can bind behind you. So left arm is going to wrap around the leg, right hand is going to meet, and then you're just extending through the torso as you fold here. Breathe. If you're in the bind, continue to pull the shoulders back and lengthen the chest and heart and even head forward. Two more breaths. Letting go of the bind. If you've got that coming up easily, let's switch sides. Left leg out. Bend the right knee. Sole of the foot is on the floor. Right knee is up over the ankle. Little space between foot and thigh, so that it's a little easier to drop that right shoulder inside the knee. Reach for foot, floor, or bind here. Two more breaths. Come on up. Take the legs out, give them a little shake. Maybe take the knees in, give them a little hug. And then come back to a seated position. I do encourage you to take a little time in Shavasana to really complete this practice for yourself. But let's close the shared portion of our practice here together now. Let's inhale, reach the arms out and up. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart, and go ahead and close your eyes. Tune into your breath here. Just notice how you're feeling. And we'll end with just a simple bow forward. The light in me recognizes and honors the light in you wherever you are. Thank you so much for joining me again today and sharing this practice. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave those in the comments for this video, and also give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you here next time. Take care. Bye-bye.